onwards and upwards. Just in my view, just as inevitable as the uranium bull market was going to happen at some point. I was early. I had a U308 report that I would write when the uranium market would kick into gear, and I started it in 2017. And of course, I was early. I was about 6 years early. But one of the gentlemen on our panel, I remember meeting with Bill Sheriff at the Denver Gold Show, and I was asking Bill, how close do you think we are? And he kind of said, well, I think we're still a few years away. And his Encore Energy, you could have bought at 10 to 15 cents a share. It's at $6, $5.94, right? $5.96 on Friday. So we waited a long time, but it's done extremely well. And I think we're just beginning a major bull market in uranium. Let me explain why. It's here. It's taken a while. Finally, we're here after a long wait. What many of us have said as inevitable reality has finally arrived. The easy money has been made by just taking positions in the best of the best companies, like the ones I mentioned in my newsletter. I only said, look, you only need 5 uranium stocks. These are all the people who could produce or were advancing their projects. All 5 of those have done phenomenally well. But again, they're just beginning their trek to much higher ground. And now we have all the explorers that are going to come piling in. But a long-term bull market could last for years, possibly even a decade or more. Nuclear energy fueled by uranium is gaining acceptance as a clean and reliable energy source that can deliver into the worldwide growing demand for electricity. The projected demand for uranium versus the established and restart production over the next 10 years leaves a major gap of required new production. That's our opportunity. The growing urgency to reduce carbon emissions worldwide has put nuclear energy generation at the forefront, with the United States being the largest consumer of uranium. The EU labels nuclear energy as green energy. A widespread trend away from Russian products has caused nuclear utilities to explore alternative supply options. By bipartisan support in Congress is strong for banning the import of Russian uranium into the U.S. with legislation. The scenario that stands right now, there's 200 nuclear reactors worldwide under construction or planned, an increase of more than 40% of the current operating fleet of power plants. Japan, which suffered the Fukushima disaster back in 2011, March 2011, basically shut down most of their reactors after that, and they had been restarting the last several years, and so far 10 of its reactors have restarted, with another 16 having applied for restarts. So there's a lot of demand coming back online in Japan. China plans on still building 150 new reactors in the next 15 years, more than the rest of the world has built in the last 35 years. With nuclear fuel being the only carbon-free scalable source of energy to seriously meet future electrical demand, the future looks very bright for the nuclear industry and new production and or new discoveries of uranium. Another thing that may be new to you, never heard, SMRs, as they're called for short, strong modular reactors. There is a strong public and private backing for development of strong modular reactors that are much smaller than traditional reactors and could be used for industrial applications and areas with limited grid capacity. This could really be a benefit to the outlying regions where, electrical demand isn't quite as great as the cities. These can be fabricated and produced, mass-produced off-site. As a small, medium-sized coal plants are decommissioned, small and medium-sized coal plants, SMRs can fill the void. This is probably a strategy that's going to be implemented in a big way moving forward. Some SMRs are designed to be fueled by high-assay, low-enriched uranium, HALEU, which is enriched with more uranium than fuel used in traditional nuclear power plants. So again, more demand, greater increased usage. The 10-year bear market in uranium has resulted in underinvestment and depleted inventories. Increasing demand and geopolitical instability are supportive of much higher prices for a long time to come. Current nuclear power generates only 10% of the world's electricity, and given the clean energy transition initiatives clearly underway, this 10% number looks to grow in a substantial way moving forward. The 10-year history of the uranium price after the Fukushima disaster in 2011, the spot price of uranium fell below $50 until 2023. During that 10-year period, uranium companies struggled terribly to produce uranium at a profit. It really hurt the industry, and a lot of players suffered. But here we are, and once 2023 came, the uranium price bumped up over 55, just over $50, stayed in that range for a while. And that gave us a little encouragement that maybe we're getting closer. And then boom, suddenly here in the last month, the aggressive move over $100 for uranium, with Friday it closed at 106. Comparing that to 2006, the uranium bull we experienced back then, I was part of that. And boy, we made money in the early going. I personally reinvested and got all my subscribers reinvested in uranium. And then we got our heads handed to us because the rug got pulled out from under us. Kazakhstan had a lot of uranium that we didn't know about at low prices, and the whole thing collapsed. And it was a tough time for us. But what happened in 2006, this time around, it's completely different because this is a long-term bull market. I don't think people are grasping, just on conversations I've been having on the floor the last 2 days, I don't think people grasp just what an opportunity this is. While we're waiting on the precious metals, and I'm a precious metals bull, I always have been, just as inevitable as the uranium move had to happen at some point, it's just as inevitable that gold is going to have to do its thing at some point. And for gold, it'll be that moment like Doug Casey always described. I always love his analogy where he said, when that comes, it'll be epic. That moment will be like trying to empty the contents of the Hoover Dam through a garden hose. There'll be no room to receive all the money that will come our way. Unfortunately, in the gold space, the world could look like a very different place while we're all making a lot of money, but that's such as it is in the world. So now that we're over 100, I think you're going to start to see a lot of money coming into our sector. It already has in the last year, but it's going to increase greatly. And I think you're going to see a lot of fund money coming in, which is already happened. I see unprecedented opportunity in uranium sector. Like I said, for many years to come, it will be a long-term bull market, nothing like 2006 where we got the rug pulled out from under us. Two types of mining of uranium. I highly favor the first ISR called in situ recovery, which is a highly technical but extremely useful, where it's good for the environment. It uses water. You pump water through the system and the uranium is extracted. That's a basic explanation. It's much more complicated than that, but I see that as one of the best ways of going forward in the industry. And there's a few of our companies that will be talking about that and explaining it as we go along here. The other method, of course, is just conventional mining, digging in the ground. And oftentimes, like I know in the Athabasca Basin, even if you make a discovery up there, it takes 10 years to permit, at least, to get a mine going up there. So while that cycle may be a multi-decade cycle, that's a long time to wait. And I like things that can happen quicker, and ISR situations have made me a lot of money already. So my two letters, the Mining Speculator, the Insider Alert, to subscribe, discoverynexus.com. The website may be down this weekend. There was a fire at our hosting site, and they were getting that all fixed out. So if you can't get through, just try again a few days later. Personally, I'm still bullish on, of course, uranium, gold, and copper. Those are the three minerals that I am most bullish on, have been that way for quite a long time. Nothing has changed on that regards.